One strategy for attaining trust in a complex, life-critical technology is to involve the government in regulatory activities. In general, the United States government regulates automotive technology. The state governments regulate and license drivers, while the federal government is responsible for regulating the technology inside the vehicles. Historically, the automotive technology has been more electrical and mechanical than computer, although that has dramatically changed recently. With automated vehicle technology, the driver is arguably technology in the form of software and hardware inside the vehicle. That puts a question mark in terms of the state's role in certifying the driver when it's part of the vehicle, which traditionally the federal government has controlled. Complicating matters is the fact that the regulators have minimal software expertise. Cars are, for the most part, still being regulated as if software were perfect. In the United States, vehicle makers self-certify the safety of their vehicles. Regulators have the authority to check on those self-certifications and initiate recalls if there are safety defects, but the regulatory action is predominantly reactive in the form of recalls. The legal system is only able to get involved after a loss event has occurred. So in the United States, the basic situation is car makers can send vehicles out on the road as long as they say they followed the relevant safety standards, and the predominant regulatory and legal actions happen only after there's been a serious crash or an identifiable pattern of problems on the road. The European Union is starting to specifically regulate automated vehicles, for example, with the automatic lane-keeping system regulations. Their strategy is type approval based on testing. That means that the vehicles have to be approved by an independent test agency before they're allowed out on the road. Regardless of the US or the EU regulatory regime, a significant issue in safety is that safety is measured primarily via vehicle tests. In the US, the FMVSS, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, apply, as well as NCAP testing for particular features. In Europe, there's EU type approval testing and Euro NCAP. A significant issue for safety of automated vehicles is that these existing testing regimes look at the vehicle functionality on a test track or the like. They emphasize whether the function works, not software safety. That means things such as, do the brakes stop the vehicle in a reasonable amount of time? Do the telltales light up for low tire pressure, and so on, are tested in a very specific way. That's a very reasonable approach to ensure that some basic level of vehicle operational competence is present. However, it does not begin to touch issues of software and software safety. For example, if the tire pressure light activates under a very specific set of conditions, then the feature is said to be acceptable. Questions not addressed during such testing are whether the tire light activates across the entire spectrum that it's intended to, or whether it sometimes activates but sometimes does not due to a race condition inside the software. In other words, if the vehicle can do a limited set of things once properly, then the vehicle is declared to have passed the tests. Looking carefully at these tests, the tests do not purport to establish safety all on their own. What they do is measure minimum competence, above which is merely a starting point to safety. This situation makes the automotive industry unique compared to other industries in that functional safety standards and software safety standards are not required to be followed when deploying equipment for use by the general public.